Good afternoon. It feels weird to be saying that. Usually I drop into the scoop saying good morning. But obviously, as we mentioned at the end of the show yesterday, we have moved things a little bit later on in the day for the foreseeable. Let's just leave it like that. Things are a little bit flux, but we will keep things actually. One thing is flux is my Slack notifications. Let me kill all those before I move on. Boop. Get out of here. Anyway, good afternoon. If you are here in the chat, it might be a quiet show today. People are probably tuned in at 10 a.m. thinking, where the hell are they? I know it's 10 a.m.-ish, but this is a bit ridiculous. But anyway, my name is Graham, and I am joined by the man that is typing away, and we call him a lot. We call him a lot of things. We call him many things, but we call him mainly Baby.
Oi.
All right.
All right. So we're doing it at this time, isn't it?
Yeah. So for those of you that don't know, obviously myself. Oh, thank you very much for the follow, WhispGB. I almost said Whisper, and that's what happens when you're in isolation and your chocolate supplies are running low. No Whisper golds on the. But anyway, thank you very much for the follow, Wisp. And hey, in the chat as well. Good morning. Good afternoon. See, there we go. We usually do this show at 10 a.m. So I'll give you the rundown. My name is Graham. This man is called Baby, and we are part of a team of people, and we call ourselves Ice Cream, obviously. And this show, in true Ice Cream fashion, is The Scoop. We bring you the biggest and best and breaking stories. This is your daily dose of games news, and we usually go live on Twitch at 10 a.m. That's twitch.tv/Ice Cream Uploads. However, because of the current COVID situation, we're kind of rejigging schedules and stuff. So for now, we are planning to potentially be doing the scoop at 2 p.m. in the afternoon UK time each and every single day. So that is the plan for now. Things are still in flux. It could change. But good afternoon. So if you hear me say good morning, and if you say live each and every single weekday at 10 a.m., that's where it comes from. I'm not just I'm not completely out of. Well, I am out of sync, but there's a reason. There's method to the madness. But anyway, this show is live, and if, like Wisp, you are in the chat, please feel free to say hello. Obviously, we turn this show into an on-demand YouTube video so that people around an hour or so-ish, depending on this, obviously a completely different setup today, but usually when we finish at 10 a.m, around an hour or so later, we upload this to YouTube so that people can watch the video back on demand. And then a little bit later on in the day after that, we turn it into an audio podcast, which goes out on iTunes. Hello there, OG Bibby, if you're listening to the show. Spotify, SoundCloud, and Google Play as well. So that's 4 different places that we put the audio podcast out. Things may be a little bit off kilter because of the later show today, but we will get into a stride very quickly. And I say we, I mean Bib, because he's the man that does everything. So yeah, there we go.
Well, I'm glad that you mentioned that, actually, because again, there will be a slight disclaimer with this, because we are streaming at 2 p.m. You won't probably expect this to be in your SoundCloud or anything else inbox until probably 5-6 p.m. today, rather than the 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon that you would usually expect it. Obviously, because you are listening to it later.
Yeah, it's still good enough. It's still good enough. You get the same day. You get early morning listening now before the afternoon listening, so it could work out even better for you. There you go. But like I say, if you are in the chat, feel free to get involved. Obviously, we turn this into a podcast and an audio podcast, a video and an audio podcast. And whilst podcasts give you the ability to take Bibby to the end of your garden whilst you're pruning your hedges and you can get him right there in your luggles, you can't interact with the conversation like you can if you are on Twitch. So if you are on Twitch, feel free to get involved now. If you're watching on YouTube, obviously, please feel free to hit a like on the video. Obviously, drop comments below. We do jump back and check those out too. But you don't get to interact live like Spoony Pizzas has just done. Good afternoon.
Oh,
good afternoon.
What a guy. I've just seen his tweet as well.
I'm going to say, speaking of YouTube, if you're in the chat, check out the name Spoony Pizzas. Click through, and I'm assuming Spoony Pizzas has links to his YouTube from there. If you want Pez content, if you want a shed load of Pez content, he's just tweeted this afternoon that there will be loads coming. So if you want some content whilst you're sat at home in isolation, then feel free to check out Spoony Pizzas too. But anyway, how's things, Spooner? Are you good?
Have you just seen his tweet about us two?
I haven't seen that one. No, I'm going to look now.
I mean, it's 100% accurate.
Okay, let's bring this one up on screen. The only solution for how to finish the football season And then he's put, we've got Bina would destroy everyone when this is all over. 1v1 Graham Day. Yes, yes, yes. Okay.
I would absolutely love that. I've never done it before, so that would be interesting to be able to actually play that.
In my mind, I'm thinking I'm this rapid person because all of my game was built on pace, no finesse, no first touch, barely a second touch. All right stamina, but I had pace, and now I'm an old man. I don't even have that. So, and I used to play rugby, so in my mind I'm like, yeah, fast rugby man. In reality, it's crippled old man. So running around with that on me, I'm like, can't breathe. There's not enough air.
Imagine how sweaty it'll be in that though.
It's sweaty enough in this room as it is with the lights, so never mind running around a field in one of those. Never mind running around. I had to cycle to pick up my car from its MOT on the weekend. That nearly killed me. So running around with one of those trying to chase a football whilst absolutely 100% not destroying everyone else in the way as well. Yeah, I'd literally be like, this is the best thing ever for about 30 seconds. And then I'd be like, I'd absolutely be blowing and it'd be just like, no, not enjoying it anymore. I saw Neville and Cara play this awesome stuff. I think I remember that actually. Was it about a year ago? Maybe not even that long. Maybe longer. I don't know. But I think I remember seeing that. Yeah, that absolutely stinks of the best stag do ever or something like that all day. Yes, I'll take that, please. But anyway, let's jump in. So distractions aside, we have a bunch of articles today, and that's kind of how this works. We pick out the biggest and best stories that we see on the internet, but you guys can get involved with that too. If you see anything that you think that might be worth myself and Bib chewing the old fat of, then yeah, feel free to send the links to us at Ice Cream Uploads across all social media, although mainly on Twitter. That's where we usually pick up the majority of our stories, and that's exactly what Mr. Daniel Henry, an absolute legend in the PES community, has done, although not for PES today. Mr. Daniel Henry has sent this article from Game Revolution, written by Kevin Tucker, and the article says, the Division 2 account banned DPS glitch bans. So a new wave of bans has arrived in the Division 2 following the recent announcement of a late March update. Several Division 2 accounts have been banned for bad behaviour. Those affected were users who made use of a DPS glitch that severely hampered online play. If your Division 2 account was banned, you may be one of countless players to receive a suspension. Players who made use of the Division 2's DPS glitch have had their accounts temporarily banned. The developers stated that taking advantage of the glitch violated the game's code of conduct. The account bans go into effect immediately and will last for 1 full week. In addition to the 1 week suspension, the accounts of sanctioned players will roll back to prior saves. These accounts will lose... yeah, that's the one that's going to sting. These accounts will lose all progress made between March the 17th and... the start of the suspension period. This suspension also serves as one final warning. Any further violations of the code of conduct will result in a permanent ban. This news was revealed in a post featured on the Division subreddit, and the developers outlined the use of the exploit and how it affected the game's multiplayer mode, saying, "We were recently made aware of a bug that could be exploited and allowed players to increase their damage to an unintended amount. The use of this exploit has negatively impacted the game's economy, leaderboards, been hugely detrimental in PvP, and has negatively affected the enjoyment of the game for many. The latest string of the Division 2 account bans won't make a lot of people happy. Then again, players should know better than to make use of game-breaking exploits. If you tried out the DPS glitch for fun and got caught in the crossfire, you'll need to wait a week before you can play again. Just don't try any future exploits, or the next suspension may last longer." So yeah, Daniel Henry has been suspended from the Division 2 for... No, he said that he hasn't. So, which is what you'd expect from the nicest man in the world. Thoughts, Bib?
Agreed.
About Daniel Henry, I mean, not.
Yeah, well, he's a very nice guy. What more can you say about Daniel Henry? But in regards to this news, it's imagine, right? We got put into isolation. For us, it was about 2 weeks ago. For the rest of the world, it was probably a month ago, maybe. And people have been probably sweating this out, which is probably why they've managed to find the exploit in the first place. So all the 2 or 3 weeks worth of sweat that they've been able to put into this game has now been reverted back to zero, which is fantastic news. Anyone who cheats in video games deserves this kind of ban. I mean, I don't know how to sum that up really. I mean, if you are cheating in games, I mean, what was that guy called in Fortnite that put an aimbot on just for a laugh in like a community game or whatever it was, and then got banned for life,
Can't
even though
remember
he
his
was a
name.
pro COD.
We,
Yeah, he was a
we,
pro COD,
we covered it for like a
pro
week as
Fortnite.
well because everyone had their
Yeah.
two bits. I can't remember the name of it now.
But as news moves on, it kind of evades our minds. But this kind of ban is perfect for games like this. I don't think I've ever come across accounts that have been banned where they've had their saves revoked. I don't think I've ever come across this. I mean, there probably will have been games that have done this. I don't think Ubisoft, in that regard, are breaking grounds in that type of thing. But to have your entire 3 week worth of save reverted back in the amount of grinding that person would have had to do to be able to get to a decent level, because let's face it, the division is all about grinding in that game. You're always working towards better armor, better guns. So yeah, 3 weeks worth of stuff has just been pissed away, and rightfully so as well.
Well, contrasting potentially opinion in the chat. Wisp says bans should happen. Rollback is overkill. 7-day overkill would have been fine. Main issue is apparently innocent people have been caught in the crossfire. I think that's the thing. I play a lot of PUBG, and the issue with cheating in PUBG is that it doesn't seem to really stop anything. People cheat and they get a temporary ban. People cheat and they get a temporary ban. And I mean, I'm not up to date with the banning or the cheating situation in the division. But this says they called it the latest wave of bans, so that makes me think, okay, has cheating been going on for quite a bit? So then, obviously, banning someone, taking them away from the account for how long was the ban for?
For 7 days.
Yeah. So 7-day ban. Is that enough? If people don't care about their progression in the game enough to cheat using a DPS glitch, something that is clearly any form of glitch like that, even nobody reads the code of conduct in video games. But essentially the code of conduct is just play fair. Just play fair. That's essentially it. But if you use a DPS glitch, you have to know that you are going against the game's code of conduct. And if you do that, you know that you are risking your account by doing that. So having...
I mean, to a degree, I do kind of agree with... Well, sorry, I know I just cut you up there mid-thought. But the 7-day thing, I actually kind of agree with him. No, sorry, roll back again. I think 7 days is perfect because, like you just said then, the amount of times that this article relates to cheating that's gone on, so it's obviously gone on for a while in many different cases or many different instances people have been cheating in this game. I agree that for everything to 7-day ban and your account being rolled back, that may be a bit much, but if accounts have been banned for so long and so many times in this game, then when does the severe punishment have to come in? It needs to come in at some point, does it not?
Yeah, and there's a separate comment there which could also change it slightly from Wisp, who says, also, I think the first time this is the first time that anything like this has happened in Division, and there's been game-breaking glitches for a long time. Well, if that is the first time something like this has happened, then maybe that's using the ban hammer for great effect in terms of, okay, we are setting a precedent here. We are making a statement in terms of if you are... there you go. I think Massive make an example. Exactly. That's the point I was getting at. That's the thing is they've said, okay, this is a huge, obvious cheat, and if you are cheating at the detriment for others, because let's look at it. Let's flip the script then. If I was playing that game and I was being horrendously cheated by people that could just whack their damage up so that they do insane damage per second. That's what DPS stands for, if people didn't know that, by the way. So I'm just stood there thinking, yeah, nice, gunfight, this is what this game is about, and I'm dead because nuke just landed on my head. If that happened 3-4 times in a row, that could easily stop me playing that game for 3 weeks until it was fixed. So So in that sense, is it really that overkill to take everything away? Because these people are stopping others, maybe indefinitely, playing the game. People may have been cheated to the point where they've gone, do you know what? I'm done. Which not only hurts the division, but hurts that person that's paid for the game as well. Their progress has been halted because of this. So is it not fair to go back to a point in time where... I mean, it'd be interesting to know why that point in time, that 3 weeks or whatever it was, that they've rolled back to March the 17th, which is just over 2 weeks, is it? The calendar. March the 17th. Yeah, 2 weeks and a day. So maybe it was 2 weeks yesterday. So that 14-day rollback, maybe that is... It could just be something as, okay, we'll just take your last 2 weeks away. Or it could be a point of time as that's when they've noticed the DPS stuff. I don't know. I don't know the context of it. But 14 days isn't a long time to stop playing a game if you are not happy with the state of it. Bibby's spoken about many games. What was it, DayZ or something you used to play a shed load of? But because of the state of it, you've given up on it. You've come back years later. So people being cheated.
I tried to come back years later. This is like the third or fourth time that I've tried to go back to that game, and it's still broken.
So yeah, I mean, do you know what? I do feel it is quite harsh. On one sense, but if you don't cheat, you don't get harsh treatments. So don't use a DPS glitch, and you're fine. So yeah. On one hand, I'm always wary of harsh treatments when it comes to cheating punishment, because I'm thinking, what if you are caught in the crossfire? What if you are someone that has been flagged by a system because you're just ridiculously good at the game? I don't know if it works like that. I mean, I don't know how different the DPS would have to be or whatever. But let's say you absolutely melted a bunch of people. Will that get picked up? Could you get banned for that? And if that's the case, do you lose all of that? I imagine Ubisoft aren't that way of going, that way of dealing with things, so that they will have ways to people to complain or what's the word? Not complain. What's the word I'm looking for? If you've been banned incorrectly, you want to get it overturned.
Oh my god! Yeah, my mind's just got a massive blow.
It's an actual word. So right,
you want to appeal it?
Yeah, that's the word. Appeals. So I imagine they'll have a full appeal process. And yeah, if that's the case, then that's fine. If you deserve the ban, you deserve the ban. But yeah, let's get all of that rolled into PUBG. PUBG needs extreme serious bans, because I did see Spoonie's comments, which were, there we go. PUBG is notorious for cheaters on PC. When viewing death cams, the amount of times people are spinning around looking at player markers in the distance, it's ridiculous. And it's not even just PC; it's a console as well. The other day, I was killed by a dude on Xbox who was essentially stood facing a wall. And I watched the death cam, and all I could see was him stood facing the wall, and then he just kind of went like that, and then I was dead. But I think it's something to do with changing your packet upload speed or something. Someone's trying to explain it to me, and I don't understand the technical side of it. But essentially, they were taking data down from the game, but they weren't uploading their data to the servers. So essentially, the game thinks that they're stood in one spot, when in reality what they've actually done is moved up, got on someone and taken the shot at them, but the game, nobody else can see it because they're not uploading their data to the servers or something like that.
That's so dumb.
Yeah.
As if you can actually do that, though. As if that's a feature that you can, well, it's obviously not an in-game built-in feature. It's someone cheating the system once again, but imagine, it's so weird that that's a thing.
Yeah, it's the weirdest thing, and this will always baffle me, because you are either that way inclined or not, but the only person you are cheating is yourself, really. I mean, if you're just doing it, actually, you could just do it to be a twat. You could just be there to ruin,
making YouTube content out of it.
Yeah, and then getting banned for life. You could. You could be out there just to ruin people's day, but some people must be there doing it thinking it's winning, and it's not winning. You're not winning. That's the point. It's the ticker. Spoonie says, "Don't say that. Just bought it for PS4. Bloody hell!" Sorry, you can jump in with me. We can get absolutely trashed together. I tend to play on PS4 more than anything else. So yeah, let's jump in. All cheaters should be banned or suspended. Now that is a sentiment that I can get behind, and that the suspension thing, I think, is, if you don't have progression things that turn your game back to, okay, everything you've done since March the 17th has to stop. If you don't have that sort of stuff, what you do need is a system that gets more and more severe. Having people banned for 24 hours, which tends to be the often thing on PUBG, isn't enough. Because if you, I'll just not play it, I'll play it tomorrow night instead. All right then, nice. Well, I'm not going anywhere, so 24 hours is nothing. I mean, nobody knows what day it is right now, never mind whatever, so 24 hours is irrelevant at this point in time. But then you get banned again. It should be, okay, 48 hours. You get banned again. Okay, we'll turn it for 4 days. Get banned again, 8 days. Get banned again, 16 days. Get banned, or even not something so cut and dry. It's 1 day, 10 days, 100 days, three strikes kind of thing that just go up with severity. After that, do you know what? You don't even need an account. Let's get you gone. Something that gives people a level of progression of severity. That's that. I'm happy enough with that, but I'm still happy enough to start with a reasonable level of severity. But yeah, long story short, I'm not playing Division 2 because I don't want to get DPS hit glitched together.
But the thing is, though, I mean, reading through the article, then it didn't mention whether or not it was in the offline world, shall we say, or the dark zone. The dark zone is where you come up against other people. I don't know whether or not it was just against the computer, because that's pretty much like 80% of the game. The other half is also spent in the dark zone as well.
I would say it's the dark zone. From the sentence says, the use of this exploit has negatively impacted. My God, I'll start again. The use of this exploit has negatively impacted the game's economy, leaderboards, and been hugely detrimental in PvP, and has negatively affected the enjoyment of the game for many. So it's got to be. Oh, I think it's both. Says Wisp. Oh, there you go. There you go. It could be both.
Yeah, because I mean, going into the dark zone, obviously you can get some really, really good gear as well. But I don't really. I haven't played the Division 1 for the PvP dark zone stuff, and I most certainly haven't played the dark zone stuff in Division 2 either. So the grind for me was always the offline stuff, like doing the missions, doing the base game, then moving on to the expansions and stuff like that. People were farming exotics that are stupidly irate. Well, that makes sense as to why people were doing it then. Again, shit houses, and yeah, the band stands. Unlucky.
Unlucky. There he is. There he is. Victor Sweet. Hi guys, good afternoon. We are currently talking about the Division 2 DPS glitch bans, which friend of the channel, you, gave us to us. So thank you very much, Mr. H. How's the day going? Are you enjoying chilling at home? I hope you are. I think we've come to the conclusion with the help of the chat that do you know what? If you cheat, cheaters get what they get. Cheaters never prosper, or cheaters shouldn't ever prosper. Not that they never do, because obviously some games they do. PUBG. Yeah. Do you know? I don't think I ever spoke about it, or maybe I did at the time. I remember I was playing PUBG. I think I did actually. I was playing PUBG the other week, and there was a team of Xbox players that had gone in. They'd all loaded in at the same time. I think there was either 4, 5, or 6 of them in a solos game, and they'd all just loaded in at the same time and just running around as a squad, melting everyone. So I finished third, only because there was 2 of those 2 left. One of them in a tank, the BRDM, and one of them on foot. So I finished third, effectively second. It was like a 1-man versus squad second finish, but the feckers robbed me, fuckers. But yeah, that absolutely ruined it for me. After that, turned my game off for the night. I was like, done. I can't play with this shit going on, so let's just give it up. And that's the thing. Rolling the game back just means that anyone that's been hit by that and turns their console off, that has to put up with that sort of stuff. People having their games rolled back, that's flipping the coin. That's putting it back onto them. So I'm in favour of that, as long as it's relative and yeah, the punishment is relative to the crime. Then I'm happy with that. Yeah, I'm good. Playing the Division 2 earlier. Guys are angry because they're missing out on the new manhunts. Well, don't cheat. Don't cheat. I'm assuming that's what you mean. Really, yeah, if they can't play the game, then no. Whose fault is that? Whose fault is that? But anyway, that's enough Division 2 content. From one shooter to another, though, let's keep up with the FPS hype train. As we jump into a story, I'll take discussing our screen because that's irrelevant now. But Activison have already banned 50,000 Warzone cheats. Welcome to Ice Cheat Uploads, where we inform you of all cheating games across the. Anyway,
as the experts in esports, mate, do you know what I mean? We look down on these people.
Yeah, absolutely.
While flicking the V's at them.
You're goddamn right. 1 second. My WhatsApp's just going away mentally decided, but it's fine. It's all good. Anyway, back to the article written by Kotaku UK for Alistair Jones. This article says Call of Duty's new battle royale Warzone has been out for less than 2 weeks, but Activision says it's already permanently banned more than 50,000 people from the game for cheating. In a recent blog post, the publisher said it had zero tolerance for cheaters. While Acti says it doesn't talk publicly about its approach, which I 100% agree with, to cheating very often, it says it's been working hard on it and has been enforcing account bans since day one of Warzone's release, issuing more than 50,000 permabans worldwide. There's a whole host of programs in place to identify and ban cheats, so just because you dodge this particular wave doesn't mean you got away with your nefarious deeds. Activision has pledged to keep updating the community about its permaban rates. Assuming its efforts pay off, it should make it a little easier to get some. But it does mean that if you don't win, you can't just cry hacks anymore. Well, that's me not playing. That's me out. That's game over.
I don't know, Alistair Jones. To come with that. But yeah, again, fantastic news. Activision are doing bits in that regards. 50,000 for a game that's been out 3 weeks, maybe? Topping a month, can't be any more than a month. So that's just over 10,000 bans a week that they're putting out. Fantastic scenes.
Well, they said there that it's been out 2 weeks. Where was it?
Has it been 2 weeks? I thought it may have been longer than that.
Where was it? Warzone has been out for less than 2 weeks, says the article.
What? No way.
We're living in COVID times. The time just passes by. It's been 6 months since we were last in the Ice Cream Upload.
It came out on the 10th of March.
Did it? God's sake, Alistair. 10th of March then is
3.5 weeks.
Yeah. Well, three in a day. God's sake.
So yeah, that's more. That's about 17,000 bans every week. Quality scenes. Again, if you are a shitbag, basically everything that we've just taken from the previous story translated into this one. If you are a shitebag, and you're cheating in games, I have no sympathy for you. As people who are experts in putting on and a company that specialise in putting on esports tournaments, it is very, very likely that I will be giving you the V's and telling you you are a shitbag whilst you're getting banned.
Shitbag. Someone that, do you know what? I mean, despite the fact that 3 weeks ago there was 50,000 more cheats in Warzone, one person that didn't get affected by that is Mr. Asim Tanvir, who's just joined in the chat with the hello emote. That was a poor attempt. How does it actually go, babe?
Hello.
There we go.
That's how it's done.
So, yeah.
I've seen his cheats anyway when he puts on Twitter when he gets a win. You know what I mean?
I don't know if you were here the other week, Asim, or was it last week? This week? I can't remember. Time's all one continuous phase at the moment right now. But it was after your win when you said sorry for the expletives or whatever, and it was just like fuck you. it was just like fuck you. Yeah, I do that. That's absolutely me. If I'm in a high pressure moment, I go, yeah, take that, yeah, fuck it, get out of here. Or the smug. It's the there's a guy just there. Seen him, killed him. It's fine. just like that's it.
Just waiting for him to like talk into his wrist. Kill confirmed, and then he comes back to playing with his hands again.
It's like, where is he? Doesn't matter anymore. He's dead. It's just this smug, and then you just ignore it, and then continue with the rest of the kit. I'm nice, really. Just the intensity of the moment. Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely get caught up with the intensity moments. There's a few things. These video games, particularly FPS video games. Actually, no, football video games. If you've seen the intro to the Ice Cream Uploads thing, where I'm pretty much like dry humping Bibby off the stage, then yeah. Competition and driving. Competition and driving both turn me into a little bit of a tit, but all healthy-ish. But yes, 50,000 people, like Bibby says. So it's been 3 weeks and a day. So what's that, like 15 to 16,000 people-ish per week have been banned from cheating. Why?
Welcome to the shitebag section. We'll include one of these every single show. Nominate your shitebag of the week. Send them through, and we'll just say the same thing every day to them.
One thing that I do like the sound of though. So okay, we've already established. So we started off talking about the Division 2. Division 2 has just banned a bunch of people for DPS glitch hacks. Activision have banned 50,000 cheats from Warzone. So we've already established cheaters should be punished. As long as the crimes are relative, the punishments are relative to the crime, absolutely. By all means, there's no place for cheaters. Activision said they have zero tolerance, and we're all on board with that. But one thing that I do like particularly about this is, where was the comment? Activision has pledged to keep updating the community about its permaban rates. That's what I like. That's what I like. Because when the game's big and when everyone's playing it and you want to keep the news rolling and stuff like that, and you see it all the time. A game launches and you get a load of different metrics that are picked up by media. So you'll get Warzone has reached 1 million concurrent players or active players in 24 hours, or it's only taken 3 days to get to 5 million players or whatever. You see that sort of stuff. But then you see a big thing of this as well, like cheaters, yeah. So that's a big message to spread as a publisher, developer, is we have a game, it's really good, we have a lot of people playing it, and we're also looking after the quality of life of the game by banning the people that are just making it horrible for everyone else. That's a really good thing. But that often drops off, and I hope Activision do keep up with it, because something that's going to be a continued service, they're going to keep issuing battle passes. So you're in season 2 or whatever it is now. Season 3 is just about to drop or has dropped. So if you want people to keep coming back, if you want the quality of life improvements to actually mean something, then getting rid of the people that are doing that to the game and being open and honest about it to a point is something that quite often drops off, and I do hope they keep up with it, because I think we need some good precedent setting for that. You fall into, I mean, how many times have I mentioned PUBG cheating already in this, but you fall into a point where, is it even worth cheating, banning cheats, or going through the effort of wasting my time to get people banned, because is it doing anything? So yeah, there's probably less risk in making bans on a free game though, right? I'm not entirely sure, because even though it is a free game, what you are losing, yeah. Let me think of a word. I need to kind of wrap my full head around what I want to say. Even though it is a free game, you need your users to be enjoying the game. So I've got Warzone, and I haven't put a single penny into that. So Activision have, if you ban someone from a game they've paid for, that is risky. Well, it is if they haven't stuck to your code of conduct. If they've broken the code of conduct, then by buying your game, it's essentially a contractual agreement to, I will give you this money to get access to your services, and you're saying, okay, you can get access to my services as long as you don't break the rules. And it's a kind of an agreement. If you break the rules, you lose the game. Job's good. However, with it being a free game, I go, here's my services, and you go, I want access to it, and I go, there you go, it's fine, keep it, it's free, go on. And then you go off and enjoy those services. If someone jumps in and cheats in that game, and you don't like it and you turn it off, then I've developed this game for you. You've logged on, you've used my server time, you've connected, you've played games with other people, but you've then not enjoyed it enough to buy the battle pass or buy a skin or buy anything like that. You haven't made any money for me as the company. So that's risky in that sort of sense, in terms of having a free game means that you need to keep on top of it, because having that ecosystem maintained means that you need to do that, or you won't make any money back. Because if people don't enjoy it, people are going to put money into it. If people don't put money into it, then you've just made this huge fanfare, put a lot of money invested in marketing and developing, and then don't get anything back. So yeah, I think the risk of banning people is kind of the same. I mean, this probably is a little bit of a thought process behind paid versus non-paid. I've not had to deal with it in that sort of sense, but we have done some stuff where we've in the past. I'll speak generically now rather than speaking about things specific. But we have worked on games, a few games actually, where we have dealt with free and paid for versions of the game. But yeah, we actually, thinking about it, we wouldn't. If you cheat, you get out of the competition. We wouldn't necessarily. We didn't have the powers to ban you from the game, but we would evict you from a competition, whether you were using a free or paid version anyway. So yeah, it's just don't cheat. Just don't cheat. I'm back. Just popped to the loo, and yes, I did wash my hands. Good to know. Good to know. I'm all for bans. One of games coming out should have an offline mode so people can still use the thing they paid for.
I mean, if you're breaking a game's terms of service by going online and cheating, then fair enough. There should be absolutely no obligation for you to be able to carry on playing in that mode, regardless. But yeah, if you paid for Call of Duty, for instance, if you're cheating in Call of Duty and you paid for the full Modern Warfare package, i.e., you've got the single player campaign and then you've got the multiplayer aspect, fair enough. You should just be glued to the offline section.
But if you have Warzone that's all online and you're cheating,
yeah,
then
that's it. It's a waste of a game. You might as well just delete it from your hard drive.
Yeah. So let's jump back to PUBG again, which is all online. If you cheat in PUBG, if they then made an offline mode to cater for the people that get bans, then you are pandering to the cheaters. Then, so I wouldn't develop an additional mode. I mean, if I was developing an offline mode for the content and I saw the reasons in doing that benefiting the community at large in general, by all means, but don't create content so that you pander to the cheaters, because then you are rewarding negative behaviour. That's negative reinforcement, and nobody wants that sort of stuff. So yeah, I mean, it's a good conversation line to go down though, and there is probably some sort of ethical conversation of paying for it and having no access to it, but there's also an ethical conversation of paying for something and going against the code of conduct and going out of your way to ruin other people's enjoyment as well. And that's the key thing. It's not so much your impact on yourself, it's your impact and your circle of influence. Every game you go into with 100 players in a battle royale, or 150 in Warzone, you have the potential to ruin the game for 150 people. Chances are you're not going to meet all 150. Some of them are going to die from other people. Job's good. But your potential there is 150 games ruined. And let's say you don't meet all 150 people, but you get to the end and you win it by cheating. You have effectively cheated all 150 people, even though they didn't make it in there. They were a part of that narrative that led to you cheating to get the victory. So
yeah, like you said the other day when you was playing PUBG and you ended up coming up against people who were teaming in solos, like instantly, that's the rest of the 98 people that are going to get pissed off or had their experience ruined by two jabronis that are still knocking about a map.
Yeah. Insta-ban the motherfuckers. Get them out of here. But anyway. Was there another bit, I think, actually? Yeah. The other bit that I was going to touch on, actually, let's see what Asim's comment first is. It's like going to a sports event or concert, paying for it and being a nuisance to others. You'd get kicked out. Simple. That's true. You go to a football match and you just deliberately get out of your seat and go and stand in front of someone else because you want a better view and you want to take their view or whatever. Get in your seat. You don't listen to the guy. Get the fuck out of it. You stand there shouting and screaming or whatever. Yeah, absolutely. I agree. The other bit that I was going to touch on, though, was while Activision says it doesn't talk publicly about its approach to cheating very often, it says it's been working hard on it. That's something that I agree with. But you bought a pass, you bought access for a certain period of time, right? You bought
a service.
That's the kind of thing. You bought access to a service, and when you purchase the pass, part of that is you are buying multiple things. That agreement includes adhering to the code of conduct. Because you buying a pass buys, or from a football survey, from a football perspective, it'll be the same sort of thing as well. There will be, even though it's not an official code of conduct in that sort of way that you would in a game, you're not buying it and ticking the box for the code of conduct and stuff, but there will be legal terms and conditions that aren't what's the word I'm saying it, when you buy something digitally you get the terms and conditions shown to you because that's what they call a distance purchase. But when you buy something in hand, there will be codes of conduct and terms and conditions for sale, but they won't necessarily be presented at that point in time. But as with anything generally in society, you adhere to a societal code of value, code of conduct. There probably will be an official one with everything. If you go to an event, all venues have health and safety code of conducts. And when you attend an event, Kangaroo Dog, thank you very much for the host. Good morning.
Thank you, mate.
Good afternoon, not good morning. See, there we go again. Yeah. Health and safety code and conducts are attributed to every public venue. And if you are doing something that goes against health and safety, so if you are antagonising people, that goes against health and safety, which is another reason for you to be evicted. So it's essentially, I suppose in similar ways, it is similar to health and safety. The health and safety of the service and the health and safety of other people, by negatively impacting on the games, you're impacting them negatively, which, yes, you're not damaging their health, so to speak, but you're damaging the health of that experience, I suppose, in that sort of way. But yes, coming back to the bit that I was talking about, Activision doesn't publicly talk about its cheating very often. I agree with that massively, because there was something the other week, and I can't remember what it was. I've been trying to remember it while I was talking through. There was a specific thing where maybe it was 10-10, maybe it wasn't. I don't know. But anyway, the developers were saying, we aren't giving you any information about our cheat check processes. Because cheaters always want to ask questions, and cheaters will use the guise of being innocent to get more information on the process of cheating. And that, because they will ask questions and they want you to give the answers. They will ask more questions, they want you to give the answers. And the guise is, I'm innocent and I'm just trying to prove my innocence, and I'm asking what you know about me so I can refute it and show you the evidence. But in reality, quite often, cheaters will be asking those questions to get more information on the cheating protocols and procedures and how they figure them out to get past them, so when they come to cheat next time. So yeah, it's always a topic that's up for discussion in terms of people want to know transparency when it comes to the cheating measures, but there is also a point of where publishers, developers can't get too transparent, because if you give them so much information on how you've caught them and cracked down on them, then they can like skirt around the houses next time and go around it a different way and not get caught.
The analogy that Whisper's just put in, it says it'll be like buying a football shirt, then making a nuisance of yourself at a game, then being banned from wearing the shirt that you own. No, you wouldn't be banned from wearing the shirt. You would just be banned because it's your actions rather than the stuff that you're using. You have access to be able to go into the stadium. You're being a knob, and then you're the person that's being banned, not just the shirt that you're wearing.
That bit there, it comes down to remembering that you're buying a license, not the game. I think that's the significant difference there, because you can't directly correlate. Say if you buy a football shirt at a football game and then get kicked out, you go home with the shirt. If you buy a shirt in Warzone and then get kicked out, you don't leave with the shirt, because you're buying intellectual property. You are buying a license to use a digital product that's not something that you could ever physically own. So there is a different fundamental flaw. Yeah, there's a flaw in the analogy there, and that's obviously like you said, it's the licensing rather than.
Okay, yeah, using the football shirt thing, if you was to buy the full version of Modern Warfare and then you got banned from playing online, you will still have your copy of Modern Warfare. You'd only be able to use it in a certain way, though. Like, you wouldn't have access to being and playing in the multiplayer game again. You'd just be able to play it in the single player campaign, which is exactly the same as leaving with your shirt. You just can't use it in the way that you wanted to use it specifically for that reason.
I think that's probably the closest way. I mean, it's still probably a flawed analogy what I'm about to say, but that's kind of like saying buying the disc copy of Modern Warfare and playing Warzone, then getting banned from the online, but then taking your disc copy to a different account. In the same way that buying a shirt and getting kicked out of a football match, if I gave Bib my shirt, he could then go to a football match wearing my shirt.
It wouldn't get off my tits, but yeah.
And it'd be a United shirt as well, so there is that.
Yeah.
It is interesting how digital services work. It is bizarre, because one thing
sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, one thing that I don't like about digital stuff is the fact that I'm not buying the game. I am buying the license, but I completely understand that when it comes to rules and regulating things like that, that's kind of how it has to be. But yeah, what were you going to say?
Basically exactly what you just said then. When you buy a digital version of a game, you never own the game. Hence why when I go to buy a game, one, I like to buy it physically because I like to hoard games, i.e. the 400 games that I've got sat next to me right here. But also, I know full well if a server was to ever go down and it's got an offline mode, I'd still be able to play that game. If for whatever reason someone hacked one of my accounts, my digital accounts, I don't own that game now. I'd never be able to play that game again unless I made a new account and then rebought the game again. Whereas if I've got a physical version of it, I'm able to play it. You never really own the game when you buy it digital, and that it doesn't frighten me because that's a proper old person think of putting things like, "Oh, I don't like internet stuff. It's on the internet. You never own whatever." But
All
yeah,
right, Grandad.
that's what I mean. He comes across as being like a granddad. But if I've got the option to own the physical media, which I can, if the worst was to happen and someone managed to hack into all of my digital accounts, I can still play this game with an offline new account. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, look at. I think it gives me an excuse to hit that button. There we go, Radical Heights. So look at something like Radical Heights or something like whatever game that you download online. You take the digital download version and you have access to it. What if that company goes bust then? You don't have access to that. Whereas if you've bought Radical Heights on disc, you could still stick that into, not that it was, but you could still stick that into your console and still have fun and games doing whatever offline elements and bits there is to it. You can still do your bits there. Obviously there wasn't in Radical Heights, but if the company goes bust and stops the service, then yeah. I suppose actually if you did download the game, then it would still be on PlayStation servers and stuff. But
No, I still had the Radical Heights stuff on my PC for ages. I just couldn't connect to the server. It just keeps ticking over.
I think
It's like if you had a copy of Mag, the game for PS3, the online shooter game, fantastic game by the way. If you had the physical version of that, you put it in your console, you won't be able to connect to the server. It just won't do anything.
I may kill the stream now because I've just hit Steam just to see if I've got Radical Heights installed. Oh no, I haven't got it installed. I'll delete it. There we go.
Yeah, WoW was a great example. Online only. If your account is done, you're done. Simple as that. Whenever you buy anything digitally, you never really own it, and that the old person in me is screaming. That's just stupid, but it's the way that we are now.
Yeah, that's the tricky road of dealing with licensing law. But let's move on from that into something a little bit more positive. As we have another Kotaku UK article, also written by Alistair Jones, but this one, thank you very much to Alistair Jones and Kotaku UK for sponsoring this episode of no, they didn't really, I'm joking. So this one says, Rockstar donates 5% of in-game revenue to tackle coronavirus. Nice. So Rockstar will donate a share of its in-game profits to help fight coronavirus. In a post on Facebook last night, the developer said that from today until the end of May, 5% of our revenue from purchases in our online games will be donated to COVID-19 relief efforts. Funds from GTA Online and Red Dead Online will be used to, and this is a quote now, to help local communities and businesses struggling with the impacts of COVID-19, both directly and by supporting some of the amazing organisations who are on the ground helping those affected by the crisis. So it's a decent offering. On PC alone, GTA 5 is currently the 5th most played game on Steam, nearly 5 years after its release on the platform, and much of that ongoing success is now driven by GTA Online, in which players can purchase currency to buy items from aircraft hangars to supercars. Red Dead Online hasn't managed quite the same level of popularity, but has a similar revenue setup, and with more people flocking to online games while stuck at home, profits are likely to be on the rise. GG.
5% of anything that has GTA 6 online in the GTA 5 online in the title is going to be a hell of a lot of money.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you say 5% of your revenue, don't get me wrong. When you're talking percentages, you're talking open-ended. So whatever they sell, they're going to give 5% of that revenue, providing they've put no stipulations and terms and conditions on that. But something like GTA Online has the potential for that to be stupid money. I mean, it might be, might not be, but the bit that it wrapped up with as well, the fact that more people are at home. If you have done a stint in GTA, maybe you've been pulled back in again with the GTA RP kind of boom last year, or maybe you're just thinking, actually, I'm at home, I've got a bit more time to put the time into GTA Online that I've never done before. And whilst you're there, you're thinking, oh, actually, I could do with a bit more currency. I mean, I'm sat at home. I can't go out. I can't buy McDonald's. So I might as well spend my money on something in game. So people, in theory, could be throwing a lot of money into these systems. So GG by absolutely just offering 5% of all revenues across the entire month. That's a good effort. Good effort. As Wisp says, big fan of that. Yeah, absolutely. Vic Sweet says, well done, Rockstar. Hopefully others will follow. I'm not sure others will.
Nothing's even good. No, 5% of GTA is probably more than any other game ever could even possibly try to donate anything close to it. It's just the way that GTA, especially the online element of it, is the biggest gaming. Well, not even it's just the biggest media outlet out there. Like, there's nothing that comes close in how much has been made by GTA, i.e., if it's a film at the cinema or whatever it is, it's $1 billion product for one game. One game online is $1 billion product. So 5% of $1 billion, easy money, mate.
Just type in the discussing now. Rockstar gets 5% of all in-game revenues. I'll just put, actually, I change gives. I'll put donates.
Unless you get banned from online. Well, again, don't be a shit. Again, welcome to the shithouse segment.
But discussing now is well too big. Rockstar donates 5% to COVID. We'll just leave it as that. We know what it is. That'll fit. There we go. To clarify, though, if you just tuned in, Rockstar isn't donating 5% to COVID, the disease. It's obviously to COVID relief efforts, but, space in the discussing now just determines what it is. Yeah. You got virus? Yeah, have some monies. What? Okay. Let's. It's definitely, regardless of the reasoning for it, it's absolutely a very nice, very, very nice thing to do. But let's now start to ask questions of what is the reasoning for that. Is it that it's just a really nice thing to do? Rockstar's staff are going to be impacted by this, and their families and everything else, and it's just a really good message to do in a time when everyone's struggling. Is that what it is? Or, devil's advocate now, have Rockstar been seen to be a business that uses crunch more than most and could do with a little bit of positive favour and sentiment behind them in the build-up to the release of a new game? Thoughts?
I get it. Very good devil's advocate you're playing here. I would like to say no, it's in good faith. But I do genuinely feel that Rockstar have too much money. Like, I'm not just saying that from someone who just plays their video games and thinking, oh my god, they've got too much money, they should be donating more. I just think they've genuinely got too much money. They've got. Can you ever have too much money?
I don't know. Give me loads and I'll tell you.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd like to think that isn't the case. That they're ramping up, because we've featured on this show over the last 3 or 4 months. We found different ways that potentially GTA 6 is going to be teased in some way or another. Obviously, those rumours haven't come true just yet, but inevitably we are going to get a brand new Grand Theft Auto game down the line.
Maybe a new Bully game.
We just we're a year and a bit over a new Red Dead game. Red Dead Online is starting to pick up for what was potentially promised and what you expect of a Red Dead Online game. I would like to think that it is in good faith. The whole crunch thing that we've talked about many a time affects pretty much every single video game producer. So I don't know. You've got me in a twizz here. I'd like to think, to top down, I'd like to think that it is just off goodwill because of the amount of time and effort and money people have poured into this game. They just think, do you know what, we'll give something back. again, it's very much like, you know, when you see these videos of people knocking around in the streets and their mates are filming them going to Greg's and buying 400 pasties and 400 brews to give to the homeless. Why is the mate filming them to show? Because they want some gratification online, don't they?
If you wanted to do it to be a good person, you wouldn't be telling everyone, "Look at me doing all of my charity work over here."
Exactly, yeah. An act that would probably take you 3 minutes to do, it ends up being a 30-minute segment on YouTube with before and after shots. Do you know what I mean? So I'd like to think that it's just a goodwill gesture. Whether or not they tried to do this away from the media spotlight and it's been picked up by the likes of Alistair Jones and he's just written on about it, I don't know. But I'm going to give Rockstar some credit here. I'm just going to say I don't think they was looking for this kind of thing. 5% is a lot of money for them. Well, I don't think it's a lot of money for them, but it will be a lot of money to whoever it is that's going to benefit from this. So yeah, I mean, I'm good for it.
You say it's a lot of money for them, but Spinny Peter says you can never have too much money. You'll always want more. You'll spend within your means. You'll buy nicer cars, bigger houses, etc. Even when you get to a point where you have millions spare, it's built into a human nature to want more. It starts becoming an addiction, watching the pounds roll in and reach new heights.
For a person, yes. For a company, no. I don't believe that. Do I believe that? No. For someone like Rockstar, no. I'm going to say no because they have never needed to put in as much work as they have done for GTA Online to make it the mega mogul that it is. The likes of other companies, I won't mention any names apart from Ultimate Team, on many different games, is a completely different matter whatsoever. Every single penny that you seem to have put into a Rockstar game, i.e. Red Dead or Grand Theft Auto, you are getting something significant out of it. The amount of DLCs that's been brought out to that game, for a game that I might add is over 8 years old, is still relevant now and beating. It's still in the charts now. Look in the top 10 of games that have been sold in the last 8 years. Grand Theft Auto is the only consistent in that list. It'll be Call of Duty, it'll be FIFA, it'll be any game that comes out ever. Grand Theft Auto will always be the consistent one there.
That company is owned by someone, though. Ooh.
Yeah, I mean, you can't. If you used to money launder all that, that would be a massive racket.
I am of the opinion, this is from Jury in the chat, I am of the opinion that both people and businesses can never have too much money, lol. In fact, the richest often tend to be the most ruthless in wanting to generate more. This is from Frugal Luke of Team Ice Cream. Hi, Luke.
You can literally see the money in his pocket. His pants are that tight.
Yeah, I think a couple of things. I think it probably is both sides of the coin. I think it's a nice thing to do, and the ICB. Well, and the board are probably.
Someone's not had enough coffee today.
Speaking of which, I've got the last bit in my cup and it's going to be freezing. Yep, it was. Speaking of which, I think the board of directors flicked myself in the face with the string on my hoodie. Then I put my hand down, caught the string, and flicked up and hit me in the face.
The guy is that it was Dan Houser, wasn't it, that left Rockstar recently?
It was, yeah. His brother.
Yeah, so
not
he's
Dan
still
Houser is still there. I can't remember his name.
So yeah, not Dan Houser. That comes up as a title underneath every time he does interviews. So his brother's recently just left, but them two do not strike me as people who are living the lavish lifestyle. Like, obviously, it seems to be a lot more sports stars-ish and weird company owners that do that, but these two have been around for so long that it doesn't seem to me, from the outside looking in, that them two are particular characters who will be having 17 hot tubs in the back garden or have got their own, I don't know, 11-a-side football pitch kind of thing in the back garden. So that's the only reason I have the opinion of Rockstar itself, because of the two blokes that was the two big cheeses, shall we say, obviously, until Dan left and his not Dan Houser's still there.
I believe they aren't people that chase the limelight. I've never actually met them, so I'm going off of online stuff. This is why I'm so frugal. I'm a billionaire, says Luke. God damn it. Yeah, I believe the houses aren't. They kind of shy away from the spotlight and stuff. But that said, I also believe there may have been articles about them being a bit of a dick. I don't know. I can't remember. Maybe I'm mixing that up with something else from 2K-ish. I can't remember. It's all kind of merging. But yeah, back to the points that I was going to say. I do believe that they will be doing this for good reasons. Also, charity is a good marketing tool, so maybe that is a good reason to do something good. But then, yeah, I mean, I was being devil's advocate in terms of bringing in the cynicism side of why they're doing it, in terms of crunch and the lead up to maybe a GTA 6 or whatever. There you go. Luke's just mentioned crunch in the chat. Rockstar right next to their employees during crunch periods, aren't they? Or at least they definitely were in the past. So yeah, I was playing devil's advocate by bringing that sort of stuff in. Do I believe they're doing this to squash the crunch conversations? Nah. Because is it going to squash it? Nah. Is it going to come back again when the game comes out? Yeah, probably. I see him in the chat. Can we get some Illuminati emotes in the chat? They're doing it at 5%. 5 + 1 = 6. GTA 6 confirmed!
One sec, let me get some man to send you some straws for you to be able to clutch down there. That's him, don't worry about it.
Do you know, I'm pretty sure there is a... There we go. This is what we need. A bunch of them. So yeah. Is it a nice thing to do? Yes. Are they doing it because it's a nice thing to do? Probably. Are they doing it because it's good to be seen doing nice things? Also, probably. Is it there to make sure they're on good stead before GTA 6 comes out or Bully 2 comes out or whatever? Do you know what? Maybe, but I think that's probably not the main thing. I think no company thinks, oh, we need to do this one thing now so that people think of us good before the next game comes out. Companies are always thinking that. Do you know what? We should always do something that puts us in good light. I mean, they don't always manage it, and they can always manage it sometimes. Sometimes they have to do something that's a bit negative or whatever. The game's broken, and they have to issue announcements. They have to ban 50,000 people or whatever. But yeah, it's yeah. I think it's probably coming down to the whole the nice thing. It's nice to be nice, and it's also nice to be seen to be nice as well. So it's probably a little bit of those. Yeah, I think it's all of the above. A nice thing to do that also produces good publicity. Win-win. Exactly. And not only that, taxable write-offs for charitable donations and stuff. Yeah, whatever.
Here we go.
Anyway, swiftly moving on. Iceman says, the way I saw that, it was like them saying, buy our microtransactions and you can help stop COVID-19. That may just be the cynic in me, though. Ooh, I've not even gone down that sort of route.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, everyone loves a cynic. So yeah, says Shogun Ash. And if anyone's ever met him in real life, that's how he says hello as well, by the way. Yeah. Good morning, afternoon, even. Good afternoon. I'm still in early morning scoops setup. So, yes. How is Show on a level of 1-2 inebriated? How are we feeling today? For anyone that hasn't checked him out, feel free to check out Shogun Ash's channel, Shogun Ash Live. You just click on his name and you can see it there. He plays all sorts of games badly for your viewing pleasure. Whoa, saying badly, my camera's fricked up. There we go. Nope, there we go. I'm back.
Or just open a house party and watch him invade your private space.
All right, watch him invade your private space. It's not that sort of stream. Wow, TOS.
Yes, it is.
TOS, God. Yeah, Iceman coming in with the absolute cynicism. I'd not gone down that level. Yeah, everyone, the more you spend, the more we give to charity. Imagine.
Everybody wins. Yeah. Everybody wins then. You get yourself a brand new car on the drive in Grand Theft Auto digitally, and then someone gets to benefit from that money that you've just spent 50 quid on.
Especially as it was revenue from the onlines. How else would they get revenue?
Well, we haven't ever seen a DLC package for the offline side of things, which would have been great. But here we are, still waiting for Resi 6. Resi 6, fucking hell. For GTA 6. I got Resi on the mind.
Do you know what? Let's just drop a few more of these in the chat because of that comment there from Spoonie. And because you've just mentioned Resi, let's jump into our next bit of news. As Resident Evil 8 coming next year to be a massive departure for the series. This is a rumour posted on VG 24/7 and written by Sherif, Saed, and the article says the next Resident Evil game will reportedly be a major shift in design. While Capcom is getting ready to release Resident Evil 3, the developer has reportedly been working on the next mainline Resident Evil game behind the scenes. According to a noted leaker, Dusk Golem, the project has been in development for over 3 years and is planned for release in 2021. In fact, Capcom is seemingly gearing up to officially announce it soon. As for what it is, Dusk Golem says it'll be, and this is a quote within the article, by far the biggest departure the series has ever taken, to the point that to the point that they anticipate the shift to upset existing fans. Do you want to do that again, Pip?
I'm too busy crying.
Golem likens the game's development to that of the original Resident Evil 3, but doesn't elaborate on what that means. This is not the first time we've heard that Resident Evil 8 has been in development for a while. That has been in development for a while. In fact, Golem previously said that some of the earlier rumours, which suggest a return to first person and a setting completely different from most Resident Evil games, are not entirely accurate. It's best to take all of that, and once again, with a grain of salt, which I mentioned, was it yesterday or whatever? It seems to be every article is coming out
Salt
with
everywhere.
This is what happens when nobody has build up to E3s or anything. Everything is just rumour, and you should take it with a pinch, a grain, a boulder, a mountain, a lake of salt. There's shitloads of salt everywhere. Just take a little bit with whatever you read. So yes, it's best to take all of that with a grain of salt for now until official information has been released. If Capcom is indeed close to revealing it, we may not have to wait long to learn more. Until then, you can read out their Resident Evil 3 review, or just watch the full thing on Ice Cream Uploads when Baby plays through and shits himself for your viewing pleasure, just like he did with the Resident Evil 3 demo a couple of weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago, whatever it was now. I continued my playthrough of Resident Evil 2 last night, by the way, flying through it with Claire in the second run.
Yeah, it is, and it is shorter the second run.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it is shorter. You don't because the stories are running simultaneously. Hers, well, it depends really. Like Leon's B is shorter than Claire's A. You know, when you're doing it that way around as well. So yeah, it is. It's the second run is shorter. So yeah, I mean, it is shorter because you know where most things are. Like I think Claire, you pick up 45 ammo rather than 9mm ammo.
Yeah,
if I remember rightly.
Although I can't, I'm running low on my 45s. I've got shed loads of 9mm ammo, but I've got no 45 ACP.
So hers, the second playthrough, regardless of who it is usually shorter than the main one anyway. But obviously, then you're going to move into Resident Evil 3, and then I've got another little present for you.
Just one thing before you get the present. Just a second ago, you absolutely audio cued my head to hear Justin Timberlake then, because you went, it just. And I just, in my mind, I just got like that Justin Timberlake when he does the beatbox.
Oh no, it wasn't pop. Was it? What was it? Rock your body. Please stay.
Yeah, exactly. So what's the surprise? Go on, bring it up.
So when you finished Resident Evil 2, then you're going to move on to Resident Evil 3, and then because I know Danielle sat there with you while you're playing it, she can now join in with Resident Evil Revelations 2.
Ooh, what?
Because that is actually a 2-player game.
Is it? So what's...
Well, you can play it 1 player, but you can play it 2-player split screen as well.
Resident Evil rumours. Boom. So is that like classic Resi 2, or is that like HD-ishness?
No. This is a spin-off game. So Claire's in it, and Barry Burton from Resident Evil 1. He's in it as well, and a few other characters that I won't mention because it will ruin the storyline. But
Barry Burton, that sounds like an absolute comic book, like superhero. like is a checkout guy by day, but he turns into like asparagus man by night or something like that. Barry Burton.
He delivered one of the greatest lines in video game history when he said to Jill that she was nearly a Jill sandwich. Do you know what I mean? That's like one of the most iconic lines in video game history ever. But this actually, before Resident Evil 2 Remake came out, was up there as one of my favourite ever Resident Evil games. It's fantastic. It's obviously better if you play it 2-player with someone who knows what they're doing and you're not leaving it to the AI. The AI isn't as bad as it was in Resident Evil 5 because play 2-player on that is the only way to play the game because Shaver is fucking useless in that game. But I seen Asim's message before saying that I saw David De Gea playing Resident Evil 6 yesterday, and let's be honest, the less said about that, the better. But yeah, you can borrow this one afterwards because it's brilliant, especially if there's two players playing it, because you will need the second player at some point just to make it a little bit easier.
Speaking, I'm going to rewind a little bit now. David De Gea. On the subject of Rockstar Games and their charitable donations, David De Gea donated like £3 million or something to the city of Madrid for their relief funds. Didn't post it on his Facebook the next day or whatever, like Rockstar did last night. All I'm saying is he donated £3 million, and the reason that got out is because he donated it anonymously, and the city of Madrid wanted to make such a big deal out of it that they announced it for him. So
Oh, for God's sake.
So I mean, if you want to make a charitable donation and you're not doing it to get a little bit of the publicity and the win-win situation, then maybe that's the way you go about doing it. Just say so. Rockstar.
Yeah.
But, is it
Revelation?
I was building up to that. I was doing the dramatic.
Sorry, mate. It was a very pregnant pause. Like, it was longer than it should have been.
No,
I
no,
thought the whole stream went down.
I was building up to it. God.
Sorry.
Okay, let's start again. Everyone's sitting. It's going to be about 3 to 4 minutes. This pause. Is it?
Bring it back lunch.
Ads Place has done it. 3 million to me. I won't tell. T-Dos,
but yeah, get that one.
T-Dos,
I'll lend you this one.
dropping absolute facts there in the chat though. De Gea, best keeper in Manchester and the whole of the Prem. Facts, mate. Facts.
I mean, he has got the leakiest defence in the league as well, so don't worry about that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you need anything to boost your stats, just get Phil Jones stood in front of you.
There's a lot of stat padding in there, if I'm being honest. Like, how many shots has he faced this year? 4 billion.
That's not the first couple of games, mate. That's only up until Christmas.
Go on, I'll let you read that to me. I'll let you read that one to me, mate.
How's the best? LB is the symbol for pound. How's the best pound in the league doing?
Hey, I tell you what, mate. The Croatians are going to get a pound in tomorrow when I'm in that starting lineup at left back.
Although to be fair, I mean, I'm just gearing up to take the piss. But that video that you posted of you saying not only the best left back but also the best left winger, that was class. That finish.
How good of a goal is that?
Fair play.
Like last night at 1 o'clock in the morning playing pro clubs again. But yeah, absolute. That's all the right analog stick. That as soon as the ball comes towards you, you have to just flick it in a certain direction to be able to try to take on a man. So I flicked it one direction, took 2 men out of the game, but my player was that shagged that my centre back managed to catch me up the CPU one, but just flicked it at the right time again to chip it over his leg. But then the little chip finish. Do you know how hard it is to score a chip finish in FIFA, mate?
Well, it looked really easy last night. I don't know about me.
But yeah, I'll left back on Pez, best in the world, no joke.
Okay. Think of all the practice De Gea is getting. What right now?
Is his missus just throwing buckets of pasta at him or something? Like, what's going on?
Have another bog roll.
Save this.
Okay, back to Resi though. So Resident Evil, they anticipate will upset existing fans. That's the comment made by Dusk Golem, the person that has the leaked information. They say it's planned for 2021, and it's going to be a massive departure for the series, as in it's going to be very, very different to anything that's happened before. What are your thoughts on that? As someone that's been there through all of everything. Oh, Aesthetic Gamer is now Dusk Column. I didn't realise that Dusk Column was Aesthetic Gamer 1, the person that had all of the Silent Hills leaky stuff the other week as well. So yeah, as someone that's seen Resi go from first person to a third to first to whatever to Revelations, what do you see about the angle being something completely different for the series, Bib?
Honest opinion, it can't be worse than what we got through 5 and 6. Now, 5 was a decent storyline-ish. It played quite well again, but you needed to have a good co-op partner with you because the computer was shit. 6, the story was okay, but it wasn't a Resident Evil game. It was an action game, and that is not Resident Evil. It's survival horror. You want to feel the atmosphere. Now, I had mixed feelings leading into Resident Evil 7 as to what it was going to be. It wasn't the first time we'd ever seen a first-person Resident Evil game, because we have had things like Resident Evil Dead Aim, which was a hybrid, so you'd play a third person, but then when you went to shoot, it became a light gun game. We had Resident Evil Gun Survivor 1 on the PlayStation 1, and we'd also have Resident Evil Gun Survivor 2 on the PlayStation 1, which was both first-person light shooter games. So it wasn't the first time we played it. I just had reservations as to what kind of atmosphere we was going to get from Resident Evil 7. However, it turns out it was perhaps one of the scariest and best games that I'd ever played up until that point. It took most of the things from what PT should have been, or what was going to be, shall we say, until it got canned, and turned out to be a phenomenal phenomenal game. Resident Evil 7. It had everything that you probably want in a survival horror game. So the
Burgers.
fact.
Did it have burgers? Because Resident Evil 2 remake started with a burger, so.
I mean, yeah, that's where it went downhill from there, didn't it? As when you've eaten that in the truck at the beginning. But Resident Evil 2 and 3 both follow the same formula as Resident Evil Revelations, i.e., third person, over the shoulder. All the controls seem to follow suit. I don't know what direction they could take Resident Evil 8 for it to piss me off after what I've had to endure over the last 4 years.
Well, that enduring over the last 4 years, the comment within the article saying is set to upset fans is this, and I'll link you through to this tweet in response to Dusk Golem, aka Aesthetic Gamer 1. The tweet says, and it quotes their comment first, saying, "Biggest departure the series has ever taken? Ah, great, just great. It sounds like old Capcom is up to their old tricks again, bringing their once loyal fans of the series / company just to do something so we scatter away. Capcom's not in a position to take such risks." So essentially, that, I assume, and this is speaking from someone that I'm going to try to summarise what I feel from what Bibby said, and he can correct me if I'm wrong, is Resi, amazing game. There's a reason he's played all of them. It's gone through some weaker times. It started building back up recently. They've hit big form with Resi 2 and the Resi 3 demo. So they're now gearing up to just let everyone down, is what that's saying there. So is that the case? You would say you've had some tough times. You're about to hit sort of a Halo period. Do you think it's wise to be taking such a big departure for the series at that point in
time? I don't know. No, I don't know. As in, I don't know. They shouldn't be doing that. But I mean, they've just started to give a bit more of a character development again to Chris Redfield at the end. I mean, if for anyone who's not played Resident Evil 7 at this point, I apologise. This is probably going to be very small. Are you actually going to go back and play it?
I don't know. Have you got it for me to borrow?
I've got it digitally. I haven't bought it.
It's all right. I'll play it. No, it's fine. Tell me anyway, because I'll forget by then. So.
No, I'm not gonna. But basically, Resident Evil was originally about Chris Redfield and his team. We've just started to get a bit more character development around Chris Redfield again. I don't know where they can go with the story for it to say. Well, there is somewhere they can go with the story, but to say it could potentially shift to upset fans, don't know what that means. And it does kind of worry me a little bit, if I'm being honest, because they've just set a massive precedent as to what road they wanted to go back down again, and that is survival horror. So what is going to be a massive upset for them to not do that again?
Yeah, that's kind of the thing. Although, one second. Awesome stream, lads. Take it easy, everyone. Heading out now. Baby feeding time. Enjoy, Spooner. I hope that you aren't feeding the baby pizzas. Actually, do you know what? I'm going to stop that there because I know where the name Spoonie Pizzas come from. That's not where I was going, so let's leave it there. Enjoy. Look after the little one. Yeah, see, I didn't play Resident Evil because of, and I only realised this like over the last week, because I've never really played Resident Evil games. I played bits of the early ones, and I can't quite remember them. I just remember shitting myself playing the games because I was young, job was gun. I didn't realise how much of, I don't know if it's all the games or if it's just Resident Evil 2 remake is based on, it's effectively Tomb Raider, but with zombies. It's not just about jump scares. It's not just about a zombie lurking behind a corner that's going to jump out and shit you up. It's about the puzzle solving aspect of it. That's such a big part of the game, which I think that's the reason why I'm enjoying it so much, and why Danielle can enjoy it so much playing it with me. It's a game. It's an experience that's not just based on boo. It's more than that. So yeah, if they've realised that actually, do you know what? I mean, did that maintain through to the likes of 7, or was it a different sort of aspect to 7? Was it a puzzle thing, or was it more a run and gun action thing with jump scares in it?
So I think 4 was the fork in the road. It did have a few survival horror elements, but it was definitely getting survival horror and puzzle elements, but it definitely was teetering towards a full action game as well. So it did have a bit of both. 5 is really where it started to become a action game, where you could hold quite a lot of guns. Really, it wasn't just about conserving your ammo and things like that. It just became every time you went into a new room or walked around a corner, there were just ammo dumps everywhere. You didn't really have to conserve anything. There was pretty much first aids all over the gaff. 6 again was just an action game. There was no survival horror elements in there whatsoever, from my perspective anyway. 7 was where they brought back conserving your ammo, conserving your health, making sure that if you are going to go into a room, you're expecting the worst. Which again is the way that he brought it back. But in between that, we had things like Revelations 1 and 2. They were both fantastic games as well. Which I think Revelations 1 came after Resident Evil 6, and that's kind of where it started to be brought back into the survival horror element. It did have a few actiony bits in there, but it required you to inventory manage, shall we say. But 0, I'd love you to be able to go back and play 0 and 1, but I think they may be too old for you. I don't think you'd get on with them. And I think you will genuinely. I mean, that is the tank controls. If you've ever played a game with tank controls, you'll know how fidgety they are, especially from people who've never played the original ones or used tank controls before. I just don't think you'll have a good time with them. They get the storyline still phenomenal, and it has all the atmosphere that you could want from a survival horror game. I just don't think you'd probably get. It's like have you played Silent Hill?
Not for a long, long time, but yeah.
Yeah, so the controls was quite similar to that, but I want to say a bit more clunky. There wasn't, but just the way that you moved your character and things like that. Again, if you was to go back and play them now, you probably wouldn't get along with them unless you had a long-standing love with that franchise. So I think with the camera over the shoulder is probably the best way for you to enjoy games now, because that's kind of what you used to.
So, do we think is it going to be over the shoulder? Is it going to be first person? What if? Do you know what? Maybe it's Resident Evil Micro Machines. Maybe you're just a little top down little GTA little. Yeah.
Well, we had Day of Reckoning. Was it Day of Reckoning? No, it wasn't. With WWE game where they ended up fighting in cars. I can't remember what that was called. That was a shocking game. I don't know why they ever did that. But you know what? Thinking about this as I'm talking through it, the upsetting fans thing could mean the newer fans that have come to the franchise, and in fact, they're actually going back to tank controls.
Crush Hour, says Iceman.
That was it. WWE Crush Hour, shit game that. A game that I actually didn't like, funnily enough. But maybe the upsetting fans means that it's upsetting the newer fans, and it isn't going back to the original tank controls. It could be a tanks control game, which, again, for me, massive thumbs up.
Interesting. Speaking about, well, two things that Bibby just mentioned, upsetting fans and a game that he doesn't like. Let's move on to something else. A news article which I actually don't like, and bizarrely, Bibby does. Fantasy Battle Royale is coming to PUBG. PUBG meets Dungeons and Dragons. This is written by Nikola Savic for Jinx Esports TV and was published a little bit earlier on today. It's April Fool's Day, or at least it was until about 12 noon. Although it technically still is. Anyway, that means that today we can expect a lot of silly things all around the gaming world, from companies to communities. When it comes to PUBG, for this year, they decided to add a whole new game mode in for the week. Thank you very much for the follow, Fernando Tuza. Very, very much appreciated. As I destroy my studio, that's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
Didn't see it, heard it.
So for those of you that don't know what that was just one of my lights just taking a tumble. It's fine. It wasn't plugged in though. I was taking pictures of it to share for someone yesterday who was asking for cheap and cheerful studio lighting, and this does the job. But anyway, back to the article at hand. So I'll start it again. Fantasy Battle Royale is coming to PUBG. PUBG meets Dungeons and Dragons. This is written by Nikola Savic for Jinx Esports TV, and it says, it's April Fool's Day. That means that today we can expect a lot of silly things all around the gaming world, from companies to communities. When it comes to PUBG, for this year, they decided to add a whole new game mode in the game for a week. It's called Fantasy Battle Royale, and it utilizes fantasy elements implemented into Battle Royale system of PUBG. Although the mode is intended to be a joke for April Fool's Day, we must say that it's quite elaborated one. It's quite an elaborate one because it is a legitimately new way of playing with some exciting new mechanics. Developers are saying that they're using this joke mode actually to test some new mechanics they are developing for a while, like in-game crafting system or new shield. And then there's a comment within the article that says a big part of Battle Royale is survival, and we've been curious what crafting on the battlegrounds might look like. Fantasy BR gave us the perfect opportunity to try out crafting a system, and as such, the vast majority of the loot you'll find in Fantasy BR consists of crafting components used to improve the items you begin with. Utilising fantasy classes such as the Paladin had the added bonus of finally letting us test a certain shield we teased out to you all a little too soon, the announcement says, aka the Riot Shield, I'm guessing. Anyway, Fantasy BR takes place on the Dragon's Isle, Erangel, and you can play as one of 4 classes: Wizards, Barbarians, Paladins, and Rangers, and each one with their unique perks. When you complete Fantasy BR exclusive missions, you earn special Fantasy BR mode rewards. You can also buy them, but developer emphasizes that this time of crisis, they want everyone to be able to earn them just by playing the new game mode. Fantasy Battle Royale mode does look pretty fun, and it offers some interesting new mechanics to try. Find out more in their official announcement. Thoughts, Bib?
Well, I actually watched Phantom play this morning, and for like these medieval kind of games anyway, these fantasy ones. So for me, it's kind of ticks 2 different types of boxes. So I like the fact that you can probably craft new stuff as you go along. I like all that stuff. So yeah, I mean, I genuinely thought, because this is the trailer you put in Slack yesterday, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I thought it was just an April Fool's thing. I never had thought it had actually come into the game, which apparently it did. And I watched some people play it this morning. So it'd be interesting to see how the castings and all the crafting comes together when it comes into the real game. But I imagine it's just for the crafting that's going to move into the real game. There's no way that you'll be able to use your Car 98 and then start doing Expelliarmus across the battlefield.
Expelliarmus. Yeah, I believe it's just down to the weapons and stuff. So the wizard essentially has a flare gun and can fire like fireballs with the flare gun. The paladin has a stick with a pointy stick. Then the ranger or something has a bow and arrow. I can't remember what. And then, or is the ranger the dude with the big axe? So 2 of them have kind of melee-ish stuff. One has a shield. One is just fast and strong. And so yeah, essentially they've tried to get that sort of class-based battle. I've put the video on screen, but it's bizarre for anyone that hasn't seen it before because it's the live action trailer thing. Yeah, okay, let's just get rid of that. But yeah, I saw it yesterday, and as someone, I like PUBG because it offers complexity, it offers strategy, and it's real world. It's that boots on the ground sort of setup that I say every time. So seeing this just absolutely just sent my head sideways. I was like, what? The fuck?
Yeah.
So much so that I'm in a PUBG WhatsApp group, and Beans TV is in that group as well, and he commented this morning. Let's see if I can give you the gist of what he was saying. It's obviously a private group, so he probably doesn't. There's all these comments about Bibby. Yeah, one of the bits was he doesn't like it, and he was saying how it kind of makes PUBG look a bit like a joke, and then Bibby sent me a message about, I don't know, half an hour later or whatever it was, saying this looks amazing. So I was like,
it is a lot more of a me game with all them fundamental parts of it. Yeah, so being the nerd that I am.
There you go, Bib. OMFG, this fantasy BR stuff on PUBG looks mint. My response, no, it fucking doesn't.
God's sake. Yeah, we like what we like, and I like shit.
That's the thing, though. It's not necessarily shit. It's I don't play those kind of games. But props to them for trying it out. The issues for me, though, the bigger issues, and this is purely a PUBG-ish sort of thing, is there are all sorts of calls for things to be fixed or things to be added in the game, and there's all sorts of conversations about the devs not listening to the communities right now. And then they come out with something that nobody has ever asked for, which just looks bizarre. So yeah, it was just kind of like a what? Just fix the fucking desync and all fix blah. And then they added this completely massive new mode. There was something else though. I'll see if I can find that. On screen. There was a tweet which they do kind of touch on in there. There's a guy called Gen EXP or Gen XP. I don't know how you actually pronounce it. There's Daniel Corrigan or something. Brian Corrigan. There we go. He's one of the dev team, and this is his tweet in response to someone else's tweets on that thread. Anyway, the tweets here says, "Hey all, I'm going to go ahead and just leak this. Fantasy Battle Royale is a way to test crafting and other completely weird mechanics in a public setting. It wasn't appropriate for labs, which is PUBG Labs, because it needs a mass test. So to do that, we wrapped it up in a new mode and some marketing. It's true that the timing was originally planned for the 1st of April because we've never pulled off an April Fool's thing, and we've always wanted to. Given the current situation in the world, we pulled all the teasers and trailers and will release without the hype train attached." So essentially, they are trying to say they want to do some mass testing on it, which is why they've rolled it out and not put it in the PUBG Labs testing setup. And because of everything that's going on at the moment, they didn't want to make a big thing out of it. So it is a dual thing. It's an April Fool's bit of banter, plus it also gives them testing and insights onto how crafting will work in Battle Royale for future stuff. So in that sort of sense, once I'd seen that, I thought, you know, actually, I'm more on board with that sort of stuff. It makes a bit more sense to me now. I'm happy enough to go in, try some daft game modes, and then drop out as long as the main game stays untouched. And it will do. They can't water down PUBG to have all of that sort of stuff in it because that's a completely different game and they'll just kill off what they have left. But yeah, expect to see Bibby running around as a paladin or a wizard with a fake mustache and glasses or whatever that dude had in there.
Have I completely missed the point here? Like, why would them doing an April Fool's joke about putting fantasy elements in to their Battle Royale game piss people off? Have I completely missed something here?
The reason it would piss people off is because there's a number of things that people are requesting. Loads of people are requesting, and this is a very PUBG heavy conversation now. Loads of people are requesting things like competitive circles, which is where the circle, the blue or the gas or whatever you want to call it from your specific game, does more damage, but you can outrun it. So you always have the ability to stay outside of the circle, but if you get caught in it, it hurts you. And they tried that for a very short period of time and turned it off because of a couple of people didn't like it. And so that was kind of like the hardcore community, the people, the were kind of like, this is a good thing for the game, for competitive nature and all the rest. And they tried, oh yeah, we did that once and we're not going to test that. But yet they can test something like Fantasy Battle Royale in the live thing without anyone asking for it. And then similarly, there's all sorts of server issues with PUBG at the moment. They are switching up their server systems. So somebody that lives in Central America, 1 week could have East Coast servers, and then 1 week could have West Coast servers, and their server ping times could be stupidly high through the roof, so the game's practically unplayable. So there's all sorts of issues and technical things like that. So then you get to the point where PUBG a couple of weeks ago said that the M249, which is a big heavy machine gun, we're going to take that out of the crate and put it in the map for everyone. And everyone's like, why? Because that's one of the few guns you can get in a crate that isn't replicated really on the map. Leave it in the crate. You've put a new shit shotgun in the crate that if someone risks their life and limb to go to this crate and they get the DPS shotgun, they're going to leave it there because it's a shit weapon. How about take the DPS shotgun out of the crate, put that into the map so people can loot it, and leave the M249 in the crate? That's what we as the community overwhelmingly want. And PUBG went, fine, we see you, we hear you. We are going to take the DBS shotgun out of the crate and the M249 out of the crate. So it's not so much that people don't want to try this. It's more that there are a lot of communication issues. There is a lot of bugs, and there's a lot of testing and stuff that's going on. The game doesn't play perfectly on the consoles, for starters. I mean, it's very, very buggy. The menus and stuff is really slow, and there's a lot of stuff that you have to forgive the game for to be able to play it and enjoy it. So then them spending what would have been a lot of dev time to add crafting to a game that doesn't need it, that's where the hates come from. It's like, fix the other stuff.
I understand that part of it. It was just the way that it was worded, like during this pandemic times and whatever it was, whatever else that he said was basically like, we're sorry for offending people during this pandemic that's going on. It was out of taste. It's like, you're just putting stuff in the game. Like, I don't know.
That
it was weird.
That was they pulled their marketing because they were going to turn. They were essentially going to do a big April Fool's thing, and because of everything at the moment, there was actually there was a trend on Twitter. I don't know if it'll still be there now. This morning, and I saw it. Loads of people saying they don't want April Fools. There we go. This is it. As if it was still there. So this is a trend or one of the Twitter moments. The collective agreement to cancel or not cancel April Fool's Day is official. So there you go. Tweets like, "Can we all agree to put April Fool's Day on a hold tomorrow? Thanks." I don't know who needs to hear this, but April Fool's is cancelled. April Fool's is cancelled this year in light of the COVID pandemic. Have a heart, please. No hoaxes. So you got a lot of stuff like that, but then you go down. Then you get people saying, "Yeah, but it's my birthday. You can't cancel anything." And then you get other people saying, "We should not cancel April Fool's Day. Right now, majority of us need a laugh more than ever. There is a fine line for jokes, but damn, I need something to smile at." So it was essentially that sort of thing. You will have seen a lot of companies, or you won't have seen, actually, you probably won't have even known that a lot of companies probably had April Fool plans and decided not to run them because of everything that's going on. They don't want to be seen to be taking the piss out of people. So essentially, that's what it was. They had a marketing campaign for the Fortnite Fantasy Battle Royale. Instead, they just announced it yesterday and put it out today. So
it's so weird that the people who are probably kicking off that they shouldn't do it tomorrow are usually the gullible as shit people anyway that'll believe anything that gets said to them. So yeah, for me that's the stupidest fucking thing that I've ever heard of. But I mean, hey-ho.
I'm kind of on both sides of that fence. Do I like April Fool's Day? Yes. Do I want it to stay? Yes. Would I have been bothered if it happened today? No. However, do I have an issue with April Fools? You are supposed to trick people. It's not supposed to be, look at me being all crazy and weird. And you'll see something like I'm trying to think. I can't think of anything. PUBG is probably a shit one to talk about because they've just had a Fantasy Battle Royale, but I'm struggling for examples right now. But imagine, like the BBC did one a few years ago, and I fell for it. They had a documentary advert narrated by like Attenborough and everything that was like, "Here you see the penguins of the North Pole. These are the only species of penguins that have mastered the art of flying." And you see these penguins running and flapping the wings, and they fucking took off. And I was like, wow, I didn't realise penguins could fly. Absolutely, hook, line, and sinker bought it. All completely. But that's kind of believable. Attenborough's in it. It was edited really well. It looks really good. But then you'll just find, you'll get a brand that just goes, "Okay, can we just ask our designer to say, we've changed PUBG to be Penguins Unknown's Battlegrounds, and everyone plays as penguins starting now." And it's like, no one's going to believe it. You've literally just wasted your time and my time. It's cringy. Stop it. So that sort of stuff can get in the sea. But being creative and having a fun way to try and lull people in and getting fully into it, I'm on board for that sort of stuff. But yeah, some people just want to be perma-annoyed. So yeah, a lot of people will be happy out there saying you should be tricking people and hoaxing people right now. They're not tricking them to take the credit card details, love. It's literally just just a bit of banter.
They're not hacking into your house party to get your bank details.
Yeah, exactly. Chill the fuck out. So yeah, that is that.
This has been the longest show I think we've ever done.
That's what happens when we can do it in the afternoon, 145, 1 hour 45 minutes we're in so far. So yeah, get damn right.
145 million people watching though.
Around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, I've done that before. Let's stop there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we should actually stop there. I think that's kind of it. That's the end of the news articles anyway. And if we just talk about PUBG, then you'll either hear me get all hyped or all crying. I mean, one way or the other. It's one extreme to the other with PUBG, and that's all that remains. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you have liked what you've seen, thank you for the people that haven't been here before. We've had a few followers during the stream too. It's nice to get a few new faces in the chat as well. Everyone that has been here through the stream, very much appreciated. If you are listening, like Mr. John Bibby will be on iTunes, thank you very much for listening. Also, feel free to let us know. More of a PSA for us rather than for you. If you are listening to this on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, or Google Play, if you have any issues with the audio, if it is quiet, please feel free to let us know, because John Bibby did mention that he listens on iTunes, and the audio has been quiet for him recently. So if that is the case for everyone else, let us know, and we can look into that too. Obviously, any and all feedback is appreciated. But before we disappear, anything you want to add, Bibberino?
Yeah, quickly before I go on to the speech, we're at 2 o'clock again tomorrow, yeah?
Yes.
Okay, good. If you see anything knocking around the video game hemisphere and you want to add your opinions to it, then do feel free to do so. But also tag at We've Got Rubinho, at Graham_Day, and also at Ice Cream Uploads. What we'll do is we'll take your thoughts and impressions, add our thoughts and impressions, and include them in the very next show, which will be tomorrow at 2 p.m.
Yeah. Yeah, and do you know what? Even if it wasn't going to be tomorrow at 2 p.m., we will put all announcements on our socials, which you can find by typing !socials in the chat right now. I mean, spoiler, all of the socials are at Ice Cream Uploads anyway, wherever you go, so, it's kind of easy to do. But anyway, have yourselves a lovely, lovely day. And if you are in the chat, and if you are a subscriber, you get access to an emote as well. Do you want to do it? Do you want to do it, babe? Do you want to do it? Do you want to do it? There you go. I mean, you will have seen that Call of Duty have tried to jump on our bandwagon and steal our slogans. But do you know what? Feck it, get away, Activision. It's ours. We were there first. We probably weren't, but it's fine. We'll keep it anyway. So have yourselves a very, very lovely day, ladies and gentlemen. And remember, until next time, stay frosty.